Welcome everyone. As Geza said, my name is Sharon Bhagwan. I'm the Executive Director of FemLink Pacific, and this week it's been great to come back together to New York with the members of the GPPAC network and to be able to link up in the lead up to tomorrow's open debate. It's certainly been another week of collaboration, advocacy and action for 1325 activists, as I'm sure a number of us here in the room make this pilgrimage, I guess, almost to our 1325 Mecca. It's a very important anniversary, and as somebody told me many years ago, it's probably one of the few Security Council resolutions that has such an anniversary, particularly by and for the women that this resolution is all about. But before I go into a presentation from the Pacific Island region, I'd just like to introduce to you the gender focal points who are here from our network. Veena Singh Briar, if you could just stand up. Thank you. Veena is a child rights activist and an accomplished community radio broadcaster with FemLink Pacific's Generation Next project. She's currently our regional program coordinator, and she believes in the need to enhance safe spaces for women to contribute to formal decision-making processes and structures through a transformation of the mindset to recognize that women are vital information bearers, and they also bring in a totally different perspective on peace building. Veena's work covers the Fiji Islands, Solomon Islands, Tonga, and Papua New Guinea, Bougainville. From Georgia, we have Nana Berekashvili, who currently works as the head of programs on minorities and gender at the International Center on Conflict and Negotiation. She also teaches a master's degree course in gender and education. Her professional background is as a psychologist, researcher, and trainer, and according to Nana, despite the unveiling of sexual gender-based violence through global media efforts, there's still a need to support civil society and media efforts in her country and region to address and highlight SGBV. We then have Carmen Lazon Gatmaitan, who is the program manager for Initiatives for International Dialogue, and she's in charge of training, internship, and the exchange program. Back in 2007, Carmen anchored the formation of a regional women's network called the Asian Circle 1325, and she currently serves as a council member of the Mindanao People's Caucus, a grassroots people's organization that IID organized after the government's all-out war policy in 2000. She's a member of a national network in the Philippines called Women Engaged in Action on 1325, or We Act 1325, and believes in gender-sensitive and peace journalism. We also have with us Visakha Dharmadasa Parua, the founder and chair of the Association of War-Affected Women and Parents of Servicemen Missing in Action, based in Kandy, Sri Lanka. She educates soldiers and community leaders about international standards for conduct of war. She also works raising awareness on key UN resolutions. Despite the remarkable efforts of women, Visakha says that more women need to celebrate our abilities and achievements, as well as one way to do this is through enhanced media and communication strategies. We then have Nikat Said Khan, a prominent feminist activist and academic in Pakistan and a co-founder of the Women's Action Forum. She is the executive director of the ASR Resource Center, which focuses on women's rights, human rights, and the rights of the marginalized. She's also the Dean of Studies on the Institute of Women's Studies in Lahore. Nikat has been involved in national, regional, and international peace movements and is a founder board member of several peace groups, networks, alliances, including the Pakistan-India Forum for Peace and GPPAC. Now, another firm believer in the potential of community radio is Sophie Toupin, who is a women's rights programs officer at Crossroads International in Montreal. According to Sophie, women ought to be given a space to tell their multiple stories. By raising their voices, by rendering their experiences visible, they can create a women's rights discourse that is more inclusive and less stereotyped. This can be done in part by women making their own media, by making their experiences visible through information and communications technology. You can see this is the ICT corner of the Gender Focal Point Network. We then have Maya Vitas, who is the Communications and PR Coordinator at Nansen Dialogue Center in Serbia and the GPPAC Media Focal Point in the Western Balkans. She is concerned that in the decades since the last war in the Western Balkans, and despite women's active involvement in peace building at so many levels, local communities and schools and universities and even NGOs and even in government, for example, in Croatia, where there even is a female prime minister, the images of women who have political influence in post-conflict societies are seen as iron ladies in typically male surroundings. Also in the room, out the back, I'd like to acknowledge Marta Helema from the Global Secretariat of GPPAC. Marta heads the outreach program as well as helps coordinate Asia and the Pacific for GPPAC, and has been instrumental in our media and communication strategizing this week together with Michael Shank. Now, it's not very often that the Pacific comes to New York. So welcome, Suki, you're partly Pacific. This week we've been focusing on the need to develop and strengthen our efforts as communicators. We are activists, we are peace and security analysts, and we're advocates for preventive action and conflict transformation. And we have the opportunity, particularly in this journey with 1325, to communicate to governments and the media, as well as to broader civil society, the stories, the realities, and the priorities from grassroots level, using available media forms and in particular, as appropriate, the information communication technologies that are evolving. The following presentation provides you with an example of how we can produce content, but it also is at the same time an opportunity to hear from members of GPPAC and the 1325 network in the Pacific in a call to action for a regional action plan on women, peace and security in the Pacific Island region. Thank you.